everyone, my name is Miranda, and today I'm here to do my Season 1 wrap-up thoughts of Skam Season 1, which is Ava's season. And if you remember my feelings when I first started the season, I was unsure of how I was going to feel about it because I had seen a lot of great quotes and moments from it on Tumblr, you know, so like I knew it was pretty good, but Ava had never been my favorite character. So a whole season about her, I was like, am I really going to like this? Because, you know, she fades into the background a lot on the other seasons. So, now that I finished the season, I realize how completely wrong I was. Because Ava's season, oh my gosh, and Ava in general, I just completely fell in love with her. I don't know what it is. Like, this definitely, I think, moved up. Like, I think for me now, it's Season 3 is my favorite, and then Season 1 is my second favorite, which I did not expect happening at all. I know a lot of people talk about how they like Season 3 and Season 1 better than Season 4 and Season 2. Like, they're kind of like two separate things, and I feel like I definitely see that because Season 1 just, man, it like hit it with like all the things that I loved about Season 3. Like, the parallels, the, you know, foreshadowing, like it was all just there and done in such beautiful and wonderful ways that like the payoff as you're watching this and as you're watching Ava grow and change and learn to be more confident is just one of the most beautiful things I've seen. I think it's honestly one of the most great like character arcs I've ever seen on TV ever. Like, it's so up there with Isaac for me. I like that from the get-go you could see that she really didn't have her own opinion. She was kind of relying on Jonas and going off of that, Isaac, because of that, and like because of that she, you know, didn't have an identity, and it was hard because she was always getting into fights with people about like, what do you want? Like, tell me what you want. And she kind of was like, I don't know what I want, so how am I supposed to like be able, it was kind of one of those things where like, how am I supposed to make you happy if I can't even make myself happy? So I think it was just a super important message about identity, independence, kind of, you know, I like that it wasn't necessarily saying like Jonas is a terrible douchebag boyfriend, you know, but like there were definitely moments where you saw like he didn't understand her, and even though they might have been right for each other, they weren't at the right spot. You know, it's like meeting the right person at the wrong time, and because of that it just didn't work out for them. And I really like that, as opposed to just like, you know, the stereotypical like, oh, he's just gonna be a douchebag and everyone can see that he's wrong for her. Like, they both made mistakes, and at the end of the day I honestly think their breakup scene, one of my favorite scenes ever, because I just love the way it's shot, and that like she's talking and kind of saying like, hey, remember when I first kissed you? And they're kind of like, you know, reminiscing and smiling and stuff, and then it's cut with them hugging and kissing later, and you're like, oh, so they must decide to get back together. But then as it goes on, she starts, you know, saying like, no, I can't be with you, like I need to find myself first. And then it turns into like them still kissing, but now she's crying and he's crying, and it's just so wonderfully beautiful how it takes that kind of twist where you're like, oh, they got back together because they're hugging and stuff, and then as it goes on you see her kind of be like, I made mistakes and I have to live with that. And I think that was another thing that I really like, was they didn't have someone be like, Ava, like, you know, like what you did wasn't wrong. Like, they had her own up to it. They had her say like, I made shitty decisions and that's something I have to live with, but I can't let it affect me for the rest of my life. She's like, I can't kind of, you know, live like a hermit, you know, like kind of just not talk to Ingrid. Like when she made up with Ingrid, I think that was a great thing in saying that like, I screwed up big time, but I have to move on. I can't just like let that decision define me anymore. Like, I screwed up, that's on me. And I love that because she's not saying like, Ingrid, you're being a bitch for being mean to me. Like, she was saying like, I just want to be civil with you. I don't want to have to like go on being like this because it's not fair to either of us. And I think that was such an important moment. And I feel like most shows, you know, wouldn't have had her and Ingrid make up, or even her and Chris's girlfriend make up. I feel like they would have had them be kind of like the villains, you know, and Ava has to like be like, oh, I'm gonna make better friends than you. But no, I like that they actually had her make up with them and kind of realize that like, you know, not everything is so black and white. And that's what this season was really about, was Ava was an amazing person, but she made mistakes. She cheated with Jonas and then she cheated on Jonas, but like she was still like, you were still rooting for her because you knew that deep down she was just confused and she was willing to own up to those. Like, at the end of it, she didn't try and brush it off. And I think that's what you can contrast with Isaac and her in season 1, was Isaac screwed up big time in telling Chris's girlfriend about Ava hooking up with him, and when he was confronted with it, he was kind of like, yeah, I screwed up, but like seemed like not too upset about it, in my opinion at least. Like, he was kind of like, I screwed up, but it was more like, oh, you found out, now I screwed up. Whereas like Ava was more like, I screwed up, I need to own up to it. And Isaac, I think, was still running away from things that he then confronts in season 3. So I just really, really liked it, and I like the message it has. I mean, it has, you know, that whole thing of, we see her kind of discovering herself, and you see how when you're so isolated from everyone, there's no possible way that you can kind of know yourself as well as you should, because her opinion was met so much with what Jonas wanted, and if it didn't agree with that, then Jonas was like, why are you being so weird? Like, what's wrong? You usually love what we do. And I just really like that. I think her speech at the end was such an important speech and so iconic. That's the one I've always seen, you know, on Tumblr and stuff, because like, it's just so good that she says like, I risked everything for you. I lost my friends. I cut them out because I wanted to be with you. And yes, that was my decision. But for you to turn around and be like, I only am with you because it's the cool thing to do, or it's what everyone else says, like, no, I had to go through hell, and I'm still like having to pay some of that back. Like, I'm just now getting back to being comfortable after being with you. I lost everything because of you, and for you to say that like, I'm only doing it because it's what other people want, like, that's so screwed up. So I like that she was able to stand up to him, but like in a rational way, you know, because I feel like before that it was like her just like, he would confront her with something and she would just be like, no, no, and then like silent or something like that. And the girl who plays Ava did such a good job portraying it, because you could see like when there's just all this emotion in her head, but she doesn't know how to say it properly when Isaac or Jonas or someone confronts her about it. So she just kind of shuts down and is like, no, I don't want this, but I don't know what I want. So for her in the last episode to finally be like, this is what I'm feeling, you made me feel this way, and yes, part of that's on me, like, I did kiss you, but like, I need to go out on my own now. And I think it was just so beautifully done how she explained it, how she's like, I like you, and I do love you, but right now it's the best thing for me to be on my own. Like, I feel like that's one of those things, you know, like, you see it a lot where like someone's like, I love you, but I need to be on my own, or like, if you love something, set it free, and you're kind of like, that's so freaking cliche. But the way they did this was so realistic in my mind, and just like, she had gone through so much, and she had found these new friends, and she was kind of still balancing like, oh, this is what I'm doing with my friends versus like, this is what he wants me to do versus what I want to do. And at the end she decided like, I love you, and like, I would in a perfect world like to be with you, but I need to be on my own right now. Like I said, it was literally Gotta Go My Own Way from High School Musical 2. Like, it was like that song personified in a conversation in like a really realistic way, and I absolutely loved it. And I was so proud of Ava at the end for how confident she became and how she was able to kind of, you know, take these steps and admit her faults and be like, I screwed up, but you know what, I'm not gonna let it, like, I'm not gonna like put an A on my chest and be like that for the rest of high school. Like, I'm going to work harder and kind of move on from it and make my amends. And I really, really loved it. So I think season 1, if you haven't watched it, I highly, highly recommend you do. Like I said, it's very akin to season 3 where Isaac kind of has to struggle and fall, and I feel like they all do, but just the way, the parallels and stuff that's set up in Ava's season of just her and Jonas, her and Penetrator Chris. Like I said, that breakup scene, just one of the most beautiful, like, I was crying during it scenes. It's just so great to see how much she goes through and how stronger she becomes and how much more confident she becomes. And I think it's just a great message to all women out there, especially young girls. Like, if I had watched this when I was in high school, this would have helped me so much, because I think there's this stigma that, you know, like, if you make a mistake, you either have to let it affect you for the rest of your life, or you have to just pretend that it never happened. And Ava kind of shuns that, and she's like, you know what, I'm going to admit it, but I'm not going to let people shame me for it anymore. And she finds girls that don't and girls that support her. And one of my favorite scenes is when she goes up to the bus group that is older than her. I believe they're third years. And she's kind of saying like, look, like, you know who I am? And they're like, no, we don't. And she's like, I'm the girl that hooked up with Penetrator Chris. And they're like, okay. And then like, you see her kind of being like, so can you not like blacklist our bus? And they're all like, look, we don't even know you, like, not in like a mean way, but they're just kind of like, you're not even on our radar, like, we have so much more important things to worry about than like some first year and stuff like that, like, we're not blacklisting you, like, calm down. And it was just such a great moment because it really shows you how, like, your problems can seem so big and so insurmountable, and that moment really, like, I think reinforced it in my mind and in Ava's that, like, only a select people care about this. Like, Ingrid made it seem like it was such a big thing, Vilda made it seem like it was such a big thing, and then she goes up to these other girls who have more status and more power, and they're like, okay, like, they just don't care at all, and it was just such a great moment. So that's why I highly recommend it. If you are in high school or you know someone who's in high school or just really struggling, show them the season. I really, really liked Ava's season. I could go on forever about it. It's definitely my second favorite season. And the girl who plays Ava, just all the props to her, because I feel like, you know, it's kind of sad that I know, like, she's not going to be a big character in the rest of the seasons, because I've seen the rest of the seasons, so it's disappointing, you know, because I feel like she herself, the actress, gets, like, I feel like not enough credit for what she did for Ava in this portrayal, because it's just so beautiful, heart-wrenching, like, you know everything that Ava's feeling, and you recognize that feeling. At least I did. I was like, yep, I felt that before, and just to be able to play it that way, that's a true actress to me. So I really, really loved it. If you have seen season 1, please feel free to leave your thoughts about it down below in the comments, and give some hugs for my girl Ava, because that's all I wanted her to get all season was hugs. So I'm so glad that she finally got some. I'll see you guys soon for Nora's season, but bye for now, and bye to Miss Ava. Thank you for an amazing, amazing season. Bye, guys!